Welcome to Brier's Music Showcase. I am Bryer Cisneros and welcome back to another video. It's been a long time, but after 7 months, I think it's time to finally bring back an old series I did back in the day, and that is favorite songs, each album. This is where I go through a band or solo artist's discography and I name my favorite song, and as a bonus, I give an honorable mention. So yeah, it's been a bit. Last one was Kate Bush. So yeah, I feel like bringing this back. So if you saw the title and thumbnail, you know I'm doing Steely Dan, just one of those bands I've grown to love more and more over the years. I mean, Walter Becker, Donald Fagen, just those two, even though they started out as a real band, I mean, those two just made some incredible stuff. So, I mean, I've talked about Steely Dan quite a bit over the years, but I've talked about them on this channel and I've talked about them on other people's channels. So this is really just another opportunity for me to talk about them and give them more love, basically. So only 9 albums, so not too long. So this video won't take that long, hopefully. So it's about the same length as Kate Bush. So yeah. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it. If you've missed this series, please give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into it. So of course we're going to be starting with the debut, which is Can't Buy a Thrill. Just a great debut, I think. Many great songs, and of course there's some classics on here. So my favorite song on here, and it's probably not going to be too shocking. For me, I'm going to go with Dirty Work, which is the second song on here. Ironically, it doesn't have Donald Fagen on lead vocals. You have David Palmer, which would be interesting to hear what Donald would have sounded like on the song, but I feel like they made the right choice of having David sing because I really enjoy his vocals. It just fits the overall vibe of the song. It's very commercial sounding, but I kind of like it because of it. There's just so many great hooks on here. You have the keyboards, and then of course you have the horns. Just the horns on here just sounds immaculate on this song. And the chorus is very catchy as well. So again, it's a no-brainer choice, but it's my favorite song on the album. And then we go to the honorable mention, and the honorable mention could be either my second favorite song, or it could be a song I feel doesn't get that much recognition. And my honorable mention is going to be the latter. So I'm going to go with Change of the Guard, which is a great song that I don't hear many people talk about. I mean, the keyboard just hooks you in. And of course, the whole band is just in full gear. And again, some great ear candy throughout. So if you've not heard Change of the Guard, please give it a listen. Just a terrific song. So those are my 2 songs from this album. But again, there's just so many I could have chosen. Like, I can see people picking Do It Again or Reeling in the Years. I mean, some people, I might get some crap for not picking Reeling in the Years, but it's my video, so what can you do? All right, moving on. So now we head over to the second album, which is Countdown to Ecstasy. Very strong album. If I were to rank them, I think I ranked them on Garrett's channel a while ago. So I had this album kind of low, but still, very strong album. My only issue is that there's not a whole lot that differentiates the songs from each other, but still, some good stuff on here. I guess by a hair, I'm going to go with the Boston Rag as my favorite song. It's really the guitar work is just kind of pushed it over the edge a little bit. Just some great guitar work, like if you hear it, has some great licks on the track. It could be, I can't remember who was doing those, but it was either Skunk Baxter or Walter Becker. I'm going to assume if it's Baxter who's doing a lot of those guitar licks. But they sound fantastic. And of course, the chorus on here is so catchy, you know, bring back the Boston Rag. You know, just a great chorus. So that's my favorite song. And then next, I'm going to go with Razor Boy, which is ironically the song that's before the Boston Rag. But yeah, it's a great song, a more chiller song. Some nice keyboard work. Just again, not a whole lot to say, but it's just a nice, just relaxing, just chill, feel good type of song. And yeah, those are my 2 songs from Countdown to Ecstasy. Okay, so then we move on to the third album, which is Pretzel Logic. Again, not one of my favorites, but still pretty good. I'm gonna be it's gonna be a no-brainer on what my favorite song is. Of course, I'm gonna go with Ricky Don't Lose That Number as my favorite. I mean, come on. I mean, it's one of the most well-known songs. I think it's one of their biggest hits, I think. And there's just so much to love about it. You know, it has that very slow build. You know, that dun 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 dun. You know, that little thing on the bass and the keyboards, little flourishes here and there. And of course, you got the catchy chorus, you know, Ricky, don't lose that number. You don't know the words, you know. But anyhow, yeah, it's a no-brainer. All right, next up, I'm going to go with Night by Night, which is the second song on the album. And it's just this kind of very driving type of song. Has some good horns on the track as well, and I just love the whole groove and the cadence to it, you know. And the chorus is catchy as well. You got night by night, ba-bum. You know, it's just so good. I just really love that song. So yeah, those are my two songs from Pretzel Logic. Next we go to the fourth album, which is, I feel it's an album not many people talk about that much. Of course, I feel like this album has slowly started to get more traction, or more love, shall we say. And that, of course, is Katie Lied. Yeah, I think this is a very good song. I think this is probably up there, at least my top 4 or 3, maybe top 3, maybe. I can't remember now, but it's definitely very high for me. I think it's fourth favorite. I think it's fourth favorite now that I remember. But anyhow, so many songs to choose from. My favorite song is going to be Rose Darling, which is the third track. And I don't know why I love it so much. I just really enjoy the sound of Donald's vocals on here. It just sounds very nice. And the guitar, that little guitar lick in the beginning, just another one of those great hooks, that great ear candy. And the chorus, again, I'm always bringing up the choruses, but Steely Dan can do some really good choruses, and this is no exception. I mean, you have Michael McDonald providing backing vocals on the track as well, which is always a nice little cherry on top, in my opinion, because I love Michael McDonald as a vocalist. It's always nice to hear him every once in a while. But yeah, Rose Darling, that's my favorite. And for an honorable mention, I mean, I feel like I gotta go with Dr. Wu, because, you know, many people have said that this is probably one of their best songs. It's definitely, I guess you can say it's their most, at least for Donald Fagen, one of his more personal songs, which you rarely ever get. But yeah, it's a great song. I mean, I could talk more about it, but many people have talked about it. It's a great Steely Dan song. So yeah, those are my picks. So Rose Darling, Dr. Wu. And then we go to, I mean, not possibly, but it's absolutely my favorite Steely Dan album ever. And that, of course, is The Royal Scam. And I have it both, not just on CD, but of course on vinyl as well. So, yes, I love this album. Just so jazzy, so funky. Just so many great grooves on here. I mean, the snarky lyrics. What's not to love about this album? So, favorite song. And I'm going to go with the song I feel people would say is probably one of the more weaker songs on the album. I'm using weak very lightly here. And I'm going to go with The Fez. I love The Fez. It's one of my favorite Steely Dan songs ever. I mean, lyrically, it's pretty repetitive, and it's kind of, and also kind of, you know, kind of sexual, because, you know, The Fez is kind of like a metaphor for a condom. So that's kind of amusing. But that being said, it's just groovy and funky as all hell. I just absolutely love the bass work on here. It's just dun 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 boom boom boom. You know, it's just the keyboards are also very in high gear, and it's just absolutely so catchy. I just love The Fez. Just absolutely love still love putting it on every now and then. So yeah, that's my choice as my favorite. My second favorite, or the honorable mention, I'm gonna go with the title track, which is the final song. And I just love how it's kind of they're more slower songs. it's just very brooding. It's just so dark and ominous sounding, and the horns just adds to the whole atmosphere, and the song just perfectly matches the overall look of the cover. Like, it just, you hear that song and I think of this album cover. It's perfect, I think, and a great way to close out the album. So yeah, I mean, just listen to the whole album, basically, is what I'm trying to say. It's just absolutely I just love and adore this album. So the Fez and the Royal Scam, those are my two choices here. And now we get to the album where most people would say is their favorite. So of course we got Asia. I mean, what has not been said about Asia? So favorite song, I've talked about this before, is Deacon Blues. Just a great, relaxing, just a good. I mean, it's not really a feel-good song because the lyrics are kind of sad, but I don't know. It almost doesn't matter to me. Like, just everything just comes together. The keyboards, the guitar, the horns, just especially the horns. Like, the horns on here are just so good. So yeah, and I've talked about it before. If you watch my top 100 favorite songs series, I talk about it a bit more. I can't remember what episode that was. I know it was a 10-part series, and I can't remember what episode that was in, but it's definitely up there. So yeah, that's my favorite song. And for my honorable mention, I'm gonna go with Josie, which is the final song. Yep, excuse me again. So Josie, I just love that opening guitar line. And I know Rick Beato has done like a whole breakdown on the song, and he breaks out just how kind of odd the chord progression is, but it still sounds really good. And then once the song gets in, it just has a awesome groove, and of course the bass work on here is just spectacular. You hear like boom, I just love the sound of that. Yeah, it's just so good. So those are my two choices from Asia. Next, we head over to Gaucho, which is what most people would say is probably the last of that classic period, and I wouldn't disagree with that. But still a very good album. So favorite song, Babylon Sister. Just a great track. Another one of those more chiller songs, but again, the groove is what really drives it. And of course, you have the Babylon Sister, da-da, just so nice. And then my honorable mention, it's kind of tough because for the most part, pretty much all the songs are very, very close together. But I think I'm gonna go with the final song, which is Third World Man. That's so hard to say for me for some reason. But that being said, I think it's another great song to close out on. Just some nice. Again, not one of their more slower songs, but I think it's a nice, chill way to close out the album. Yeah. So those are my two choices there from Gaucho. I didn't have a whole lot to say on those two, but they're very good for different reasons. All right, and then we finally do a whole time jump to 2000. This is when they finally came out with another album. So we have Two Against Nature. I would say this is probably my least favorite Steely Dan album as a whole. But still, some very good songs overall. I think for me, my favorite song would be the first song, which is called Gaslighting Abbey. Just a good opening track. Some good stuff. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. It's just a pretty good song, and yeah, I like it. And then for my honorable mention, I think I'm going to go with Cousin Dupree. Hopefully I said that right, but yeah, and I feel like the reason why I have this pretty high is because the guitar work on here is very good. Like, there's 2 guitar solos on this song, and they sound very good. So I think that alone is kind of why I want to recommend that song. But yeah, it's my least favorite Steely Dan album, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it, but some good stuff. And that's something I'll say about these like 2000s albums, is that obviously they're not as good as the classic period, but some good stuff on here still. I still think they're worth checking out. And then finally, we have the final album from 2003. We have Everything Must Go. So, favorite song, I'm gonna go with The Last Small, which is the first song. Again, sets the tone for the album, and I think it does a very good job on it. Some great stuff, and the backing vocals here are really good as well. And Donald Fagen, from these two albums, I still think he sounds very good. I don't think he lost his voice really, but yeah, I think that's a very good song. So Last Mall. And then for my second favorite, or the honorable mention, I mean, I'd say it's my second favorite, and that's gonna be Pixeline. Just another one of their, it's just those types of songs they do good. Is that those good, feel good, kind of more chill, relaxed songs. So again, just a great groove and great melody throughout. And yeah, that's gonna be my honorable mention. So The Last Mall and Pixeline are my two for Everything Must Go. All right, so there you have it. So those are my favorite songs from each Steely Dan album. In the comments below, let me know your thoughts on my choices, but also let me know your favorite songs on each of these albums. Again, always looking forward to reading those comments and seeing what your favorite song is. So if you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and goodbye for now.